Yes, I want to welcome you to yet another episode of Beizzo's Kiboozi. Now, for this episode, it is going to be more of, I think, self-actualization. Because I want to talk about red flags. And the red flags that are not what we all think about. You know, the world and society has made red flags seem to be more of a dating thing. But today I want to come with the idea that it's not only in dating, because red flags show up everywhere, be it at your workplace, be it in your friendships, be it in your family, be it in yourself. Red flags show up everywhere. And they are not only limited to romance, relationships, or something that is involving love. So we need to stop putting it around only dating, because there is something around it being in other things. The friendships, the family, workplace, and yourself. And this is something that I want us to unpack. This is Beizzo's Kiboozi. Now, for friendships, friendships is the baseline of human, I could call it human living. For any human to be around life, or to live in the life that we have, you are supposed to make friends. But we take friendships for granted, because sometimes these people have been in your life for a long time. These people have been there for you. So we tend to take relationships for granted, the friendships for granted. And then the red flags come in. You start seeing people not showing up for you. They only show up when they need something. I may be a victim, or what's the opposite of a victim? The guy that inflicts. Yeah, I could be, but I'm only human. But you see, guys can be funny. You can only show up when they need you. They can only show up when there's something they're going to get. So that is one of the biggest red flags in relationships of friendship level. You need to see, how does this guy serve me? Serving you also tends to be in the sense that you feel peace when you're with them. That alone can be serving you. And I had a conversation recently on this same idea that when do you know that this person needs to be cut off? Because sometimes it is negligible. But personally, I believe in patterns. If someone does something the same way every time, I'm definitely going to be fed up. So if I see a red flag and I see it multiple times, I'll keep my distance, because we live life for survival. And if someone threatens your survival, you have to cut them off. Same thing with family. Family is one of the hardest things to handle, most especially when the red flags come in. Some family members use emotional manipulation to get what they want from you. I could give an example. Let's say you have your parents, you're taking care of them or something, or they're in the age where they need to be taken care of. And let's say you don't visit them, or you don't what, then they start to hold you at ransom with statements like, we used to take care of you people, now you don't want to take care of us. Those statements that parents always make. They make them honestly or innocently, but number of times, personally, I think it's emotional manipulation. because they put you in a situation where you may not be able to say no. And yes, we are not supposed to say no to our parents, but we are supposed to create boundaries. Blood does not cancel out toxic patterns. Personally, if someone is my brother or my sister or my parent and they're doing very toxic behavior, I will hang him there, but it obviously will piss me off. Because personally, I believe blood does not cancel out toxic patterns. You can't start telling me because you're my brother, because you're my father, you have the leeway to act the way you're acting. We are past that generation whereby you blame your current life based on the past or based on the things that you lived through. So those toxic patterns that come because maybe this person had a bad childhood, so they are trying to make sure you have a better childhood. No. If it's not right, it's not right. If it's parenting, let it be parenting. Let it be clear. Because we live in a generation of clarity, in a generation of information. The information is all out there. You need to tell the person this and this and this. You don't create ambiguity. You can still create boundaries and still have love in your family. So that is something you need to think about. Now, there are also red flags in work. And these ones come up every time. Because some people think because they're in the bigger step of the corporate ladder, they have to look down on two people because, come on, they are the ones that employed you. I believe that is the worst way of handling anything. Personally, if I see someone stealing credit for something they didn't do or they didn't contribute to, that's a red flag. If I see someone glorifying burnout in the name of hustle, that is still a red flag. They only come and praise you when you're working hard, but never praise you when you're breaking down. Okay, that's how work is supposed to be, but they are never there to help you when you're breaking down, when things are hard on you. They're never there. Only there to look at the mistakes that you're going to make so that they can make a report. And I feel like I'm talking about someone. But I hope you get the picture. You see, in workplaces, there's a lot of politics, there's a lot of stupidity, there's a lot of kiddish behavior, all in the name of trying to get attention. I believe it should be grounded on boundaries, should be grounded on understanding, it should be grounded on communication. Most of these bosses we have, they don't seek to understand before they are understood. They just want to be understood all the time. And yet the generation has really changed. Life has really changed. Society has really changed. We are no longer in that time where your job is all that makes who you are. Right now it is purpose. Right now it is the peace that you get in a place. Because we have evolved as human beings that we seek more of peace than seeking for survival. Because back then it used to be survival. Yeah, then I'll bring it to yourself as a person. The biggest red flag you can have as a person, you yourself, is betraying your own values. Betraying your own values. If you betray your own values, you are very capable of betraying other people's values. If you're willing to say yes when you mean no, you're willing to do that even when it doesn't matter to you. Just imagine if you can say yes to something that you're not comfortable with. Now imagine it is on the expense of other people, you are definitely going to say yes, because by the time you can't respect yourself, can you respect other people? You may not be able to do that. So that's the biggest red flag, I believe, is there for you as a person. If you betray your own values, that's a very big red flag. You need to go back and meditate and restructure your life, because that thing really damages the image that you put out there. You can see anyone that has done something out of their values, let's say these big public figures, very many sensible people or very many intellectual people push away from them, because at that point you become unreliable. At that point you become something that human beings would not understand. Because if you don't know how to keep to your own values, how then would you keep to other people's values? So anyway, what is a Beizzo's Kiboozi episode without a practical way of you seeing yourself and seeing these red flags? Now, the first thing you have to do is audit the relationships around you. You need to see what serves you and what doesn't serve you, because life is too short to keep in a loop that does not serve you. You need to have self-confrontation. You need to be there and say, this is wrong, I need to do right. This is wrong, I need to do right. And you need to also create a system of confrontation for other people. You don't just come and back at people. You don't just come and become the red flag to people. You need to create an environment where confrontation is constructive. They call it constructive criticism, I think. Something like that. You need to create an environment where that thing thrives. Then you also need to notice yourself around this toxic, because you see, the toxic environment affects your nervous system before the brain gets to understand what is actually happening. When you start getting weirdly scared about something, weirdly, you're not really fine when someone is around, that means there is a red flag that person has, and your body is trying to realize it before the brain gets to actually think about it. So that is something you need to think of. How do you feel around some people? Sometimes that is nature's way of showing you a red flag. Yeah. Then the other thing is you need to name your needs. You need to name your needs. People are not supposed to assume what you need them to do for you. You know, very many times we are in that thing, this guy, he's very rude, he's what. Have you ever told them that, man, you need to style up, you need to get polite, you need to understand that this is how things are done, this is it. I don't want to do that because of this and this. You know, communication is very key. When you communicate your need to people, people will then respect it. People are not machines or gods to read your mind and know what you want. So you need to think about that. Otherwise, that's the best way you can see red flags in all the relationships around you. And let's not keep red flags as a dating thing. Let's also put it in social life. Someone can do something stupid and it goes just like that. There is no room for stupidity in this world. There is no room for disrespect in this world. There is no room for toxic patterns in this world. If you need help, look for a psychologist or something, but do not inflict your toxic behavior on people because of the things you've gone through or because of the what. Seek for help, get in line, and yeah, we live life better. Otherwise, that is it for Beizzo's Kiboozi. I hope you loved this episode, and if you loved it, please share it with your family members, share it with someone that needs to hear it, share it with someone that is looking for red flags in people. Otherwise, I don't want you to be a very negative person. I want you to also look for the green flags in people, and we live for a better community. Otherwise, that is it for this episode. Keep it at Beizzo's Kiboozi. See you next week.